I think it's one of my definite favorite tracks of the album. The idea came first to do this thing by thinking about the harmonic progressions of the piece, because it's based on the same harmonic pattern all through the piece. And so I thought it would be a wonderful chance to use a pedal board for the violin, which hasn't been really done a lot, and try to just add up violin after violin after violin, and to just recreate an orchestra sound just on that instrument in the beginning. I think the first minute and 20 seconds are without any other instrumentations, just me, and then just bring the orchestra in on the second verse. Incredible piece to play live, especially, but I think also for the record it shows the musical colors, the intensity of the work, but it's just a fun piece also to play. Really, really good track. Crimea River, great harmonies, and this is one of those pieces which are not that old, and it still kind of already has that depth to it, and it's something which I feel will always be a great piece of music. I think it works also very, very well on the violin. I think I heard it maybe 10 years ago, the first time when it came out, and I think the first time I heard it I was like, this is something I might want to attempt, so finally after 10 years I gave it a shot. Well, anybody who knows me knows that I always try to put classical angles on the record. In this case, the Scherzo by Ludwig van Beethoven, which is out of the 9th Symphony. And I think it has really something which is timeless in the rhythm, in the harmonic progressions, and it really works beautifully as a rock piece. It was really one of those pieces where I didn't really put much work in, as crazy as it sounds, and you should never admit to this, but that one worked out perfectly from the beginning, so I guess thanks to Beethoven. Well done. One of my favorite Michael Jackson tracks. I've done some Michael Jackson before, more of the upbeat, very pop-forward kind of pieces. Human Nature is definitely more chilled out, Michael Jackson, and for this I really use the violin in a very special way, so I almost don't use the bow for the whole piece, but just pluck the strings, which I think works extremely well with this piece. It gives it some kind of air, it doesn't feel like push, and it's something which really by accident turned out to really work great. So never underestimate the power of luck, I guess. The album is called Music, so obviously I wanted to incorporate as many different music genres and styles into this album, so away a little bit from the last record, Rock Symphonies. And so I really tried to focus on all the possibilities, musical possibilities, and styles which you can actually do with the instrument. Tico Tico is another track which I think is out of the box, the ordinary, and it's something which has to do with Mexican, Brazilian rhythms, South American kind of spirit, but also the way I play the violin in this case is there's a lot of pizzicato. I actually use the violin more as a guitar in this piece. So it's an upbeat, very kind of light work, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it's has a lot of energy, and it's I think everybody knows it, although if I say Tico Tico they won't know which piece, but once you hear it it's like, heard that one before. I still felt there was one piece missing for the record, which focuses on something which is very important for the violin, which is sound. Very melodic piece. This actually was released after Chopin actually passed away. He never actually played it live, which I think is quite cool to imagine that, you know, such a beautiful piece he actually never got to perform. It's a great piece. I think we try to add different sounds on that, obviously trying to still capture the beauty of the classical original work, but also I think it has such a simple melody which works for a pop piece, and I think I just wanted to get something which has simplicity, which has beauty, and you know, which is catchy. And I think this one works very well. Well, another track which incorporates more like the film music, which is another favorite of mine, is a combination we did out of Led Zeppelin's A Whole Lot of Love, combined with the main theme out of the Bond series. And we of course try to not only get the sound of, you know, the grand sound of film music in the style of Hans Zimmer, but also kind of push a little bit the boundaries here and add underlying riff by Led Zeppelin. And I think it really turned out to work together very, very well. There's another classical piece which people might not know as a classical piece, but as a pop tune, because it has been rearranged as a pop ballad a few times actually in the last 60, 70 years. Originally though it was written by Clementi, who was a contemporary composer of Mozart, and it's actually out of his Sonatina #3. And people don't know it as a Clementi piece, they know it under the name Groovy Kind of Love, especially by Phil Collins. And it shows again how closely related classical music and popular music are. You know, we're still working with the same material, and I think it's a wonderful example to showcase that you know, classical music still is the foundation of everything we do today. As I always say, there is great music in every department, every area of music. Never was a huge fan of like the techno kind of era, although it kind of fits directly into my age though. But I think there are always certain tracks which stand out and also stand the test of time. And for me, SANDSTORM was always a piece which had an incredible rhythm, something which immediately was catchy, and I guess that's the key of having something which is successful and also good. It's also a piece where you can showcase your technique on the violin. And I'm always looking for something where I can actually add something to it, make it difficult for myself. It's very important for me not to just relax, but really try to find my own technical limits. And that's also a piece where the combination of rhythm and technique really makes it a tough piece to play. But I think it's something I really truly enjoy performing. Well, I think it's one of those epic tracks which, of course, is known by a lot of people, but I, of course, try to bring this song into the 21st century. It's so in sections, you know, already in the original. So the content of that song is supposed to kind of reflect the music of today, the music of the past, the music of the future, as it also says in the lyrics. And of course, the music of today changed a bit, also the way we look at the music of the past. And of course, the thoughts about what can be done with music in the future is also a little different. So I try to incorporate you know, all those new ideas and new sounds into music and try to make it contemporary from the point of view of our time. Sabre dance. I hate to start every sentence with "this is one of my favorites," but this really is one of my favorites. Big fan of punk rock, so we tried to kind of bring Sabre dance, which was originally written by Khachaturian, who was a film composer but also a classical composer. So the challenge was, how do we bring something contemporary to something which, you know, in a way was old school. So I was thinking and listening a lot to the Ramones and Green Day and a lot of like the more punk contemporary bands. And I thought it would be nice to really add that punchy guitar sound, the rhythms, very simple rhythm, because there's so much going on with the melody that you don't really need any additional kind of like too crazy going on. So I was really focusing on the melody line, guitar, violin, virtuosity, and the rhythm pretty straight. As a lot of people know, I'm a huge fan of Johann Sebastian Bach. I always like to finish shows with pieces from the sonatas and partitas for solo violin. Great piece, great harmonies, love the piece to death. And it's not that well known, but I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces he's written. And I really wanted this one on the album. Definitely one of the iconic rock tracks, but I wanted to add something from my musical world, which is still classical. And I thought, who better to combine with Queen than Paganini? So the verses, which Freddie Mercury sings in that way that you can never somehow capture it on the violin in that way, I tried to add, out of various Paganini caprices, something which would, you know, make it sound very violinistic, but still working for the piece. So it's actually was quite a challenge to find the right pieces to fit with We Will Rock You, but I think it turned out very well. Garrett's Scottish name, so I thought finally I'd put some fiddle playing on one of my records, and what better chance to do it on a record which is called Music. It's definitely also a different, totally different area of music, but for some reason this part has a lot of tradition with my instrument. Again, it's something which, you know, is fun. It's something people can easily get into the piece. Some of the variations I actually wrote myself, so I thought, you know, if you already have some Scottish blood, you better put some of your own ideas in there. And it's just really a good mood, feel-good piece, and I think it's never been done on the violin before, so why not give it a shot? For Desperado, I had a certain sound in my mind. Obviously, the Eagles, great American band, but for this piece, I felt it really needed to have maybe a little bit more American tradition than the original, which is jazz. So when I listened to the piece in the original version, and when I thought about the violin, what it can do with the colors, with the sound, I really heard a more jazz piano, jazzy way of sliding into notes. Also phrasing-wise, timing-wise, the piece works very, very well with a jazz groove. And, you know, that was the aim for Desperado. Couple of things about Pulp Fiction. First of all, great movie, great soundtrack, good combination there, iconic film again. And it's also a different style on the guitar. It's kind of like the surfer style, Dick Dale guitar playing. So it was quite a challenge to this time not think about the left hand, but the right hand, which is so much more important for that kind of style. It's a lot of 16 notes with different rhythms. So you really have to get your mind away from the left hand, but just focus on the right arm. And that took quite a while because it's something which you can't think that quickly. So you have to practice it slowly, a little faster. So that took a couple of weeks to really get that rhythm into the right hand. But I think it was worth it. It turned out to be a very energetic track, and I'm very happy it kind of made the cut. There are not that many people anymore who write classical music in a classical way. Classical music moved quite far away from the original tradition of classical music, which you have to respect. Probably people associate more classical music with film music and musicals and stuff like this. But Carl Jenkins is still one of those composers who keeps the tradition, you want to call it, I call it tradition of classical music, and really tries to write in the style of, you have to say style these days, because it's almost an offense as a composer to write something, a classical composer to write something with harmonies, you know, trying to kind of make it sound beautiful. Apparently that's not anymore what people are looking for, at least the classical department, which I find, you know, a shame. But it's a great piece by Carl Jenkins, has a lot of energy. We try to, again, put my own personal twist on it. I think it turned out to be quite different than the original, but still having, you know, the same element, which I really wanted to capture. Guns N' Roses, definitely one of my favorites, and obviously after Rock Symphonies I still wanted to get a couple of the big rock and roll sounds tracks on this album, which is also a big part of my music world. And the last thing I did from Guns N' Roses was November Rain, and a lot of people really appreciated that one, so I thought I'd give it a go with Welcome to the Jungle. I have to say it was quite difficult to find a violin part for it, because Axel is screaming most of the time to this thing, so you kind of have to punch the bow on the string and really try to kind of go crazy with vibrato and slides. So it was an unusual work, and it's still, I open shows with it, so I really like it. For me, this piece really envisions what the record is all about, which is great melody, great harmonies, great rhythm, something which people can relate to, and also a work which really never gets old. I can listen to this piece 1,000 times and still not get bored. And I think that's what music is about. It's about telling a great story, and a great story never gets old to be told. So, and I think with the Ninth Symphony, that's for me also the last track of the album. It just brings everything together.